In this video, we're going to take a look at an upcoming feature in Adapt Builder 2019, which is going to be ramping of slabs. And we're going to show this in a progress build of the software. We want to have the option for both Floor Pro Edge. This will allow us to analyze globally, which is required for ramping. And then also PTRC, we can model, let's say, post-tensioning in beams supporting a ramp but not in the ramp itself. So this will allow the user to model ramps with continuity if you're wanting to include the ramp for lateral analysis, and also just for gravity design. Let's say of columns, it might have a short column height because of the ramp bracing the column. So we'll go ahead and just show where we're at with this project. This again is upcoming in version 2019. I'm going to go ahead and just set up a model here. So we'll say that the spacing is 10 by 10, and I'm going to first go to Model, Story Manager, and I'll add just a couple of stories here. I'll change this to plane 3, and we'll apply that change, and this will become plane 2, and then we have the base. Okay, we'll close that. We're working on plane 2. This is going to be the first elevated plane, and I'll just create some column grid. We'll say that the columns are going to be 24 by 24, and we're going to have let's say multiple spans of 30 feet in this direction. We'll have an end span of 20 feet, and then in this direction we're going to have spans of 60 feet. So we'll go ahead and just Control C, Control V to copy paste. Okay, we have something that looks like this. And we're going to assume that the ramp, for example, this is the ramping line, so this is going to go down to base level. And then from here, we're going to say that that goes up, let's say, to level 3. And we'll just repeat that circulation. So whenever we model a ramp, we're going to model that there's going to be 4 input points. The 2 points define the top of the ramp. The second set of 2 define the end of the ramp, and those are always defined at the level below the active level. So, for example, let me go ahead and model some slab here, and then we'll go back and add the beams here in a moment. So we'll go back to model. I'm going to just add, these slabs are going to be, let's say, the horizontal slabs at this particular level. And if you have ramps that change slope between 2 levels, then we have to model essentially an intermediate level in this case. So we'll add these 2 slabs, and then I'm going to go ahead and just copy this vertically. So I'll copy this up. I'll say modify vertical, and I'll copy up 4 times. Something like that. And if I go to a view like this, we have all of the ramping kind of happening in this space, and we can add some perimeter beams and so on. So I'll go back to my, let me turn the grid off. I'll go back to single level mode, plane 2, and I'm going to go to a 3D view. I'll go back to model, and we're going to say ramp. And I'll click snap to endpoint. We're going to go for points 1 and 2, and then points 3 and 4. Okay, and that defines this ramp going from level 2 down to the base level. Now what I'll do is I'll just go up to the plane above, and I want this to be points 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So we'll go back to ramp. I'll go points 1 and 2, and then points 3 and 4, and that defines that. So if we look at this in side view, this is actually going down to level 2. If I go to a multi-story view, you can see this goes to base on the opposite bay. This is on the near bay here, going from level 3 to 4, and this is the view like so. So if I wanted to repeat this pattern, for example, now we want to go to level 4, okay, and this actually will go from this point up to level 4. So I want to go up to level 4, and I'm going to define this ramp from here, let's say down to here. I'll go up to level 5, and I'll define, for example, this ramp from there down to there. And putting that all together, we have something that looks like that. I may be missing a ramp, but this gives you the general sense. Yeah, we're missing something here. I think we're missing a couple of ramps in here, but this gives you the general sense of how the ramping can happen in the model. And then we could add beams to each of the levels. If I go, for example, let's go to level 2. I can come in here and model beams. So we'll say the beams here are going to be 22 by 36 inches deep. And we'll model these beams like so. We can go back and post modify that beam after we've entered it. Just drag that back to that point. Now the beams in the ramp, if we select a beam, let's say we want to model these beams right here. So these are actually referenced from level 2, and we want them to be modeled downward. Okay, so right now they're at the current plane, so I have to determine what offset I need to drop those beams based on the slope of that ramp. So those beams, if we isolate the beams in the ramp, I'll just take these and this, and I'll go to visibility, show selection, and I'll turn that on its side. I can take this beam and I can modify it downward. So we might want to modify this beam. Let's say a positive value is downward. This goes, we'll say it's 36. I don't know the exact figures here, but this now offsets the beam down, and then over here we'll say this is 60. Maybe we'll try 72. Okay, so we can position those beams vertically. We can also add tendons in these cross beams. So the tendon option, if we model this tendon in the beam, and the tendon in this beam, and I go back to a side view, you can see those are actually referenced based on the depth of the beam. And this is what it looks like in a 3D view. Going back to multi-story view, if we wanted to then analyze this structure, I'll go back to my main display. If we wanted to analyze this, we would want to analyze it in multi-story mode. So I could mesh everything here in global mode. This would mesh the horizontal slabs, and then the ramps essentially get meshed when we analyze the structure. So this would happen when we go to analysis of the structure. If you have any questions about the upcoming feature for ramping, please let us know. And thanks for watching this sneak peek. Thank you.